we've had a very interesting and very bullish Tuesday to continue the week that we started a little bit soft on Monday, then it came back roaring on Tuesday. So we call it a Santa Claus rally. The stock market still on steroid, $20.9 million US traded on a market yesterday. Dangote Cement, Dangote Flour, GT Bank, Zenith were among the top traded stocks on our market. A very interesting day. Look at that. We crossed the 38,000, almost halfway to 39,000. As we speak, the Nigerian stock market has done a decent 43.24% return since the 1st of January 2017. And the market doesn't look like it's ready to give up anything till December the 31st. This market is roaring. Month to date, we've done 1.45%. Yesterday, we added 1.37%. And you can see the equity capitalization there at 13.406 trillion. That's taking you north of about 50 billion US dollars. Flip that over and look at the volume. Not a very significant, strong volume, as it were, just less than about 500 million shares. But in narrow value, that was strong because investors bought massively in the shares of GT Bank, $6.8 million. For Zenith, that was 2.9 million US dollars and 1.82 million US dollars bought of EcoBank Transnational Incorporated, called the ETI. If you put those three big banks together, that's about more than half of the total transaction turnover for the day. Dangote Cement was also a very decent buy. 2.25 million US dollars of this bellwether was bought yesterday. So the industrial goods was about 1% better. The consumer goods was much better because we saw a massive gain in Nigerian breweries, 3.37%. And the strong buy in Nigerian breweries continued. About 1 million US dollars worth of that brewer was bought on Tuesday. The banks were strong, 1.29%. First Bank, FCMB, Fidelity Bank, Unity Bank, and UBA contributed to that very strong showing on Tuesday. Insurance lost about 0.6%, and the oil and gas was in the red, 0.4%, largely because of that profit taking on Forte Oil. Flip that over. Look at the negative, about 0.75% reading on the NESD over-the-counter market. You can see the USI 613.61. And if you look at the volume, that was a bit stronger than Monday. 2.42 million ordinary of the unlisted securities were traded for 280 million in just 8 transactions. I'm looking at the fixed income market, and that's where you see the next table coming through to you as far as treasury bills. The four most actively traded dated treasuries there. 144.22. That's much better than 66 billion that we saw when we started the week. That's the market now taking the heat out of the savings bond that is closing today, and the settlement closing tomorrow, the 7th, and the settlement will be on Friday, the 8th. That opened on Monday. This will be for about 4 days in the market. If you're interested in the DMO savings bond, those two tenured instruments that have been sold. But this is via the secondary market, via the FMDQ OTC. Look at the Naira bond, and that's also very decent Tuesday, much better than Monday by about 4 billion in terms of total. This is to the treasury bills total. We're looking at the bond, the Naira bond. Now, for the four most actively traded, okay, you can see them. You can see two of the long-dated paper, 2027 and 2037, April the 18th. And you can see the volume of transactions there. As far as the oil and gas was concerned, that's a little bit, we heard about that. Forte Oil lost about 4% on Tuesday, and that pulled that sector down a little bit, 0.24%. That's the red shoe that we had. The rest were largely unchanged. Okay, thank you, folks. Let's get out of the market. I love the market, but again, there's another market that has to do with export, import, and what you call the technical trade on foreign trade, as it were. That's a different market entirely, where goods move across borders. You push them out and you bring some in. So there's a new arrangement which we spoke about last week when the Ministry of Finance team were in Lagos to talk to the stakeholders. Of course, Lagos is the home of waters. Of course, you have a bit of others also. Nigeria's coastal spaces, so hundreds of kilometers there. But Lagos is still the king when you talk about the foreign trade in Nigeria. Accounts for 80%, if not more, of the total throughput when you talk about export-import. So let's get this understanding and a better analysis of that with Dr. Frank Ojadi, who is a faculty member of the Lagos Business School, on the issue of politicization and what it really means for everyone around the table. Perhaps that includes himself, who is an academia, who has his fingers in the business of export and import. Good morning.
Good morning.
It's good to have you here. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's always very interesting to have this conversation with you anytime we have these issues. So there's a new guideline, and I'm sure you're aware of that. This is your what you look for every day, anything that happens within the foreign trade.
Correct.
You want to know what is going on. So when the Ministry of Finance sent the team to Lagos last week to meet with the stakeholders, I'm sure you captured part of that in the news.
That's right, I did.
Yeah, so what is your summary of what was discussed and the takeaway from there?
Okay. For the first time, we are beginning to see quite a high level of supply chain collaboration with respect to the stakeholders that operate the import and export activities at the port in particular. In the past, that was very, very little, and that actually accentuated the kind of problems that we had at the port. Everybody had his particular objective and his mandate, and people were just operating as if they were silos on their own. But now we're beginning to see what I will call, based on the discussions that took place and also what we have in the media, that now people are now beginning to realize that you are not going anywhere if you do not collaborate in getting things done with respect to import and export.
This is the Ministry of Finance bringing everybody to the table.
Correct.
So it's Ministry of Finance who is interested in this and said this has to be done and bring everybody to the table.
Correct.
So you think this is a good step in the right direction?
It's a fantastic step. For the first time, when I read through those materials, I realized clearly that, for instance, the Nigerian Customs Services are now taking that responsibility of coordinating all those inspection agencies, government agencies, that have one thing or the other to do at the point of examination of a container. In the past, it used to be the responsibility of the importer or the clearing agent of the importer that did that, and that was a hell of a work to do. But now that you have